Act as if they're already madly in love with you. Watch what happens next. Stop for a moment. Forget what they said yesterday. Forget the silence, the distance, the unanswered message, the uncertainty, and every piece of evidence that has made you question whether they truly want you. For the next few minutes, you are going to step into a completely different reality, the reality where you are already loved, not almost loved, not potentially loved, not waiting to become worthy of love. You are already the person they adore, the person they think about, the person whose presence means something to them. And I want you to feel what that would feel like before you see any evidence of it. Imagine that you woke up this morning with absolute certainty that the person you desire is deeply in love with you. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to send another message. You don't need to analyze their behavior. You don't need to wonder what they are thinking. You simply know. You know that you matter. You know that you are wanted. You know that your connection is meaningful. You know that love is moving towards you. How would you walk through your day if that were already your truth? That is the state we are entering now. Because the biggest shift happens when you stop looking at yourself as someone waiting to be chosen and begin seeing yourself as someone who is naturally chosen. Stop asking, how can I make them love me? And start embodying, I am someone who is deeply loved. Stop wondering, will they come back? And begin assuming, I am worthy of consistent love, communication, affection, and commitment. Your inner conversation matters because the story you repeatedly tell yourself becomes the lens through which you experience your world. So today, I want you to suspend the old story. For this moment, you don't need to know how. You don't need to know when. You don't need to figure out every detail. You simply need to enter the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. Close your eyes if you can. Take a slow breath. Imagine your phone lighting up with the message you have been waiting for. Imagine hearing their voice. Imagine the warmth in their words. Imagine them looking at you with genuine affection. Imagine knowing that you no longer have to question where you stand. Feel the relief, feel the confidence, feel the peace, feel what it is like to be wanted without having to beg for it. And then ask yourself one powerful question. If I already knew they were madly in love with me, who would I be today? Would you be anxious, or would you be calm? Would you chase, or would you allow? Would you doubt yourself, or would you trust your worth? Would you constantly search for signs, or would you simply live your life knowing that you are worthy of love? Become that version of yourself now. You are not here to force anyone. You are not here to manipulate anyone. You are here to change the story you are living from. You are here to become so familiar with being loved that insecurity no longer feels like home. And when you change the inner story, your actions change. Your energy changes. Your expectations change. Your standards change. Your perception changes. You begin carrying yourself differently because you are no longer asking the world to prove your worth. You already know your worth. You already know you are lovable. You already know you deserve reciprocity. You already know you deserve communication, affection, honesty, respect, and consistency. So let the old version of you step aside, the version who waited, the version who worried, the version who overanalyzed, the version who wondered whether they were enough. That version is no longer leading. From this moment forward, you are practicing the identity of the person who is loved. And now breathe deeply and step into that feeling. Because when you stop acting like love is far away and start living from the assumption that you are already worthy of extraordinary love, you may be amazed by what begins to change. Not because you are forcing another person, but because you have finally changed the place from which you are living. You are not waiting to become loved. You are becoming familiar with being loved. And now, watch what happens next. The first and most powerful shift is this. Stop waiting for love and begin entering the feeling of already being loved. So many people spend their days looking outward for confirmation. They check their phone, reread conversations, analyze someone's tone, wonder why they have not reached out, and search for tiny signs that might prove their feelings. But every time you make external evidence responsible for your inner peace, you place yourself in the position of waiting. You become the person who says, I will feel loved when they text me. I will feel chosen when they commit. I will feel secure when they finally show me. But what if you reversed the entire process? What if you decided that the feeling of being loved comes first? What if you allowed yourself to experience, internally, the peace, confidence, warmth, and certainty of someone who already knows they are cherished? This does not mean pretending that another person has done something they have not done, nor does it mean ignoring reality or trying to control another human being. It means changing the emotional position from which you live. Instead of living as someone desperately hoping to be chosen, you begin living as someone who knows they are worthy of genuine mutual love. Close your eyes and imagine that the person you desire is already completely devoted to you in a healthy, reciprocal way. Imagine that communication between you is easy. Imagine that affection is natural. Imagine that you are appreciated without having to perform for attention. Imagine receiving words that make you smile because they confirm what you have already accepted within yourself. You mean so much to me. I love having you in my life. I choose you. Notice how your body responds to that imagination. Perhaps your shoulders relax. Perhaps your breathing becomes slower. Perhaps your mind becomes quieter. That peaceful feeling is what you want to practice. You are teaching yourself what it feels like to experience love without fear. And the more familiar you become with that state, the less compelling desperation becomes. You no longer need to chase every notification or interpret every silence. You can allow another person to be themselves while you remain anchored in your own worth. This is where your identity begins to change. You stop saying, I hope someone loves me, and start thinking, I am someone who is naturally worthy of love. You stop asking, what can I do to make them choose me? And begin asking, what does the version of me who expects healthy love think, say, and do? That version of you does not abandon herself for attention. That version does not beg for crumbs. That version does not make another person's temporary behavior the measurement of her value. She understands that love should be mutual, respectful, consistent, and freely given. So throughout your day, practice returning to this feeling. When you wake up, remind yourself that you are worthy of love. When you see your reflection, look at yourself with appreciation rather than criticism. When doubt appears, gently redirect your attention toward the experience you want to cultivate. Before sleeping, imagine yourself already experiencing the kind of relationship you desire. Feel the comfort of being understood, valued, respected, and appreciated. Let that become familiar. The goal is not to force an outcome. The goal is to stop rehearsing rejection and start rehearsing fulfillment. You are changing your inner starting point. You are choosing to become comfortable with being loved. And when being loved becomes normal in your inner world, you naturally begin making choices that reflect that expectation. You communicate with more confidence. You establish healthier standards. You become less reactive. You stop chasing what does not reciprocate. You become available for genuine connection rather than trapped in the fear of losing it. This is the beginning of the transformation. Love is no longer something you are desperately waiting to receive. It becomes something you believe you are worthy of experiencing. You carry that assumption with you, not as a demand placed upon another person, but as a decision about yourself. You are worthy. You are valuable. You are deserving of affection. You are deserving of respect. You are deserving of a relationship where love flows both ways. Begin there. Let that feeling become your new normal. Stop waiting outside the door of love, wondering when someone will invite you in. Step into the identity of the person who knows they belong in a loving relationship and let your thoughts, standards, and actions begin reflecting that certainty. The second shift is to stop asking what someone who is desperately waiting for love would do and start asking what someone who already knows they are adored would do. This is where the transformation becomes real because your identity determines the way you interpret everything around you. When you see yourself as someone who is uncertain, unwanted, or easily replaced, every small event can feel threatening. A delayed reply becomes rejection. A quiet day becomes a sign that feelings have changed. A short conversation becomes evidence that something is wrong. You begin reacting to circumstances instead of living from your desired state. But imagine approaching your day from an entirely different identity, the identity of someone who knows they are deeply valued. Someone who is loved does not need to constantly prove that they deserve attention. Someone who knows they are cherished does not panic every time another person becomes busy. Someone who trusts their worth does not feel compelled to chase, manipulate, or compete. They understand that healthy love is mutual, consistent, and freely expressed. So begin practicing that identity now. Ask yourself, if I genuinely believed I was deeply loved, how would I think about myself today? You might walk differently. You might speak to yourself more kindly. You might stop checking for signs every few minutes. You might become more present in your own life. You might stop trying to predict what someone else is thinking and start focusing on what you know about yourself. This is important because acting as if does not mean performing a character. It means allowing your actions to naturally emerge from a healthier internal assumption. You are not pretending to be someone else. You are choosing which version of yourself you want to strengthen. Instead of the version who says, "Please choose me," you become the version who says, "I am worthy of being chosen." Instead of, "What if they lose interest?" you think, "I deserve a relationship where interest, affection, and effort are mutual." Instead of, "What can I do to make them stay?" you ask, "What kind of relationship reflects the love and respect I know I deserve?" Feel the difference. One identity operates from fear, the other operates from self-respect, and self-respect changes everything. When you believe you are adored, you stop treating every interaction as a test of your worth. You can enjoy communication without becoming dependent upon it. You can appreciate someone's affection without making it the source of your entire emotional stability. You can miss someone without believing that missing them means you are incomplete. You can desire a relationship while still remaining whole within yourself. This is the energy of someone who is secure in their value. Throughout the day, practice small decisions from this identity. Before sending a message because you are anxious, pause and ask, am I communicating because I genuinely want to connect or because I need reassurance? Before checking whether they are online, ask, would someone who trusts their worth need to monitor this? Before interpreting silence negatively, remind yourself that another person's schedule, mood, or temporary availability does not define your value. This does not mean ignoring genuine red flags or accepting unhealthy behavior. It means refusing to create unnecessary suffering from assumptions that have no foundation. Your goal is to become emotionally grounded enough to allow love to unfold naturally. Imagine the person you desire looking at you with admiration. Imagine them appreciating your personality, your presence, your humor, your heart, and the qualities that make you uniquely you. Then bring that feeling back to yourself. Do not make their imagined admiration the source of your worth. Let it remind you of what you are willing to experience in a healthy relationship. You are worthy of being appreciated without performing. You are worthy of being heard without begging. You are worthy of affection without chasing. You are worthy of commitment without manipulation. You are worthy of honesty without having to investigate. As you repeatedly practice this identity, you may notice that your entire emotional posture begins to change. You become calmer. You become more selective. You become less reactive. You stop treating uncertainty as an emergency. You stop abandoning yourself to keep someone's attention. And that is the real power of assuming you are adored. It is not about controlling another person's mind. It is about becoming the person who naturally expects healthy, reciprocal love and refuses to live beneath that standard. Let this become your inner identity. I am valuable. I am lovable. I am worthy of devotion. I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of consistent affection. I am someone who can be deeply loved without having to chase love. Carry that identity into every conversation, every decision, and every quiet moment. When you embody that version of yourself, you no longer move through life asking the world to prove that you matter. You move as someone who already knows that you do. The third shift is to make the experience of being loved feel normal within you. Most people treat love as something extraordinary that must constantly be proven. They wait for the perfect message, the unexpected call, the confession, the compliment, or the dramatic gesture before allowing themselves to feel secure. But when you make love your inner normal, you stop requiring constant external confirmation to feel valuable. You begin to think from a place of quiet certainty. Of course I am loved. Of course I am appreciated. Of course I am worthy of affection. Of course healthy love can exist in my life. This does not mean pretending another person has feelings they have not expressed or trying to control their choices. It means cultivating an internal expectation that you are worthy of mutual, genuine, respectful love. When something becomes normal to you internally, you no longer react to it with desperation. Think about how differently you behave when you know something belongs in your life, compared with when you believe you might lose it at any second. If you knew you were deeply valued, you would not spend every moment wondering whether someone still cared. You would enjoy the connection instead of constantly measuring it. You would receive affection without questioning whether it would disappear tomorrow. You would allow communication to be enjoyable rather than turning every message into a test. That is the state you are practicing. Close your eyes and imagine an ordinary day in a loving relationship. Do not focus only on dramatic moments. Imagine the simple things. Imagine waking up feeling peaceful because you know someone cares about you. Imagine seeing their name on your phone and smiling naturally. Imagine talking about your day and feeling heard. Imagine laughing together over something small. Imagine sitting beside each other comfortably without needing to prove anything. Imagine receiving affection that feels effortless and genuine. The more ordinary these scenes become in your imagination, the less your mind associates love with anxiety and uncertainty. You are teaching yourself that love can feel peaceful, love can feel safe, love can feel consistent, love can feel natural. This matters because many people unconsciously become attached to emotional turbulence. They mistake uncertainty for passion and anxiety for intensity. They believe that if they are constantly thinking about someone, checking for signs, and worrying about the relationship, the connection must be powerful. But you can choose a different definition of love. You can decide that love is not confusion, love is not constant fear, love is not begging, love is not proving your worth. Love is connection, respect, communication, affection, honesty, and reciprocity. Make that your inner standard. When you imagine being loved, do not only imagine someone obsessing over you. Imagine someone respecting you. Imagine someone listening to you. Imagine someone making space for you. Imagine someone communicating openly. Imagine someone choosing you while also honoring your individuality. This creates a much healthier vision of what you are inviting into your life. And when doubt appears, return to your inner normal. You can say, I am comfortable being loved. I am comfortable being appreciated. I am comfortable receiving affection. I am comfortable being chosen by someone who genuinely wants to be with me. Repeat it until those ideas stop feeling like distant possibilities and begin feeling familiar. You do not need to force yourself into excitement. Peace is enough. Sometimes the strongest assumption is not a dramatic emotional high, but a quiet feeling of, yes, this is possible for me. Yes, I deserve this. Yes, love can be easy and mutual. Carry that quiet certainty throughout your day. When you think about your specific person, allow yourself to imagine the healthiest version of the connection rather than rehearsing rejection. See yourself communicating with confidence. See yourself receiving affection. See yourself feeling secure. See yourself being valued without having to compete. Then release the need to control exactly how or when things unfold. Your responsibility is not to manage another person's mind. Your responsibility is to decide what kind of love you are willing to accept and what kind of person you want to be within that love. As you make being loved your inner normal, you naturally become less available for situations that constantly make you question yourself. Your standards rise, your self-talk improves, your choices become clearer. You begin recognizing that you do not need to chase what is genuinely reciprocal. You can desire someone deeply while still remaining anchored in your own worth. You can hold a beautiful vision without making your happiness dependent upon immediate evidence. And that is the real transformation. Love stops being a distant prize you are desperately trying to obtain and becomes an experience you are emotionally prepared to receive. Let yourself become familiar with it. Familiar with being respected, familiar with being appreciated, familiar with being pursued by genuine interest, familiar with being communicated with openly, familiar with being treated as valuable, familiar with feeling secure. The more natural these qualities become within your expectations, the more naturally you will embody them in your real relationships. You are not waiting for love to give you permission to feel worthy. You are deciding that worthiness is already yours. From that foundation, you can welcome relationships that reflect mutual desire, genuine care, and authentic connection. Make love normal. Make respect normal. Make reciprocity normal. Make being valued normal. And let your life begin reflecting the person you have decided to become. The fourth shift is to stop checking the outside world for permission to believe in the love you desire. This is where many people unknowingly give their power away. They decide how they feel based on what happened 5 minutes ago, what message they received, whether someone viewed their story, how quickly they responded, or whether their behavior matched the picture they have imagined. Their inner world becomes a constant reaction to external circumstances. But if you want to embody the feeling of already being loved, you must learn to separate your inner identity from temporary appearances. You can acknowledge what is happening without allowing circumstance to define what you believe about yourself. When you constantly search for proof, you communicate to yourself that you are still waiting. You say, I will believe I am loved when they prove it. Instead, begin saying, I know what kind of love I deserve, and I will remain grounded in that. This does not mean denying facts, ignoring unhealthy behavior, or refusing to recognize when a relationship is not reciprocal. It means refusing to let uncertainty turn into a story that attacks your worth. Someone being busy does not automatically mean you are unwanted. A delayed response does not automatically mean feelings have disappeared. One difficult conversation does not define an entire relationship. And most importantly, another person's choices do not determine your value. Your value existed before their attention and remains regardless of their attention. So stop giving every notification the power to control your emotional state. Stop making your phone the judge of whether you are lovable today. Stop refreshing pages, checking activity, rereading old conversations, and searching for hidden meanings simply because you feel anxious. Instead, pause and return to yourself. Ask, what am I assuming right now? If the assumption is fear, you have the opportunity to choose something healthier. You can say, I do not need to create a negative story from incomplete information. I am worthy of clear, mutual, respectful love. This is how you become emotionally stable. You are not pretending nothing happened. You are refusing to make fear the narrator of your life. Imagine two versions of yourself. The first wakes up and immediately checks for evidence. If there is no message, she feels rejected. If there is a short reply, she worries. If there is silence, she assumes the worst. Her entire day depends on external behavior. The second version wakes up knowing her worth. She may desire communication, but she does not collapse without it. She may care deeply, but she does not abandon herself. She allows people to demonstrate who they are while maintaining her own standards. She knows that healthy love does not require constant surveillance. Which version feels more powerful? Which version is more peaceful? Which version is more prepared for a healthy relationship? Choose the second. Throughout the day, whenever you catch yourself looking outside for reassurance, gently redirect your attention inward. Take a breath and remind yourself, I am already enough, I am already worthy. I do not need immediate proof to know what I deserve. Then return to your life. Work on your goals, enjoy your hobbies. Spend time with people who uplift you. Take care of yourself. Become interested in your own life again. The goal is not to become indifferent to love. The goal is to stop making love the only thing happening in your life. When you have a full life, love becomes something beautiful you experience, rather than something you desperately need to complete you. This also allows you to observe another person's behavior more clearly. When you are not consumed by fear, You can recognize consistency, effort, communication, and respect. You can also recognize when those qualities are absent. That clarity is valuable. You do not have to manufacture a relationship by ignoring reality. You can hold a positive inner expectation while remaining grounded in what is actually happening. Your assumption should never require you to abandon your boundaries or accept treatment that harms you. Instead, let your assumption strengthen your standards. I am worthy of love that is mutual. I am worthy of communication that is honest. I am worthy of affection that is freely expressed. I am worthy of someone who chooses me willingly. Then stop checking for permission to believe it. You do not need the outside world to tell you that you matter. You know that you matter. You do not need another person's mood to determine your confidence. You know who you are. You do not need constant evidence to justify your worth. Your worth is not up for debate. When you stop checking the external world for permission, something beautiful happens. You become calmer. You become less reactive. You stop chasing certainty and start embodying it. You allow relationships to reveal themselves through genuine actions rather than trying to force every moment into a desired interpretation. And from that grounded place, you can experience love with far more freedom. So let today be the day you stop asking the outside world, am I loved? And begin asking yourself, am I living as someone who knows they deserve love? Let your answer be yes. Let your thoughts, standards, choices, and boundaries reflect that answer. You are not waiting for circumstances to give you permission to value yourself. You are choosing your value first, and then allowing life and relationships to meet you at that standard. The fourth shift is to stop checking the outside world for permission to believe in the love you desire. This is where many people unknowingly give their power away. They decide how they feel based on what happened 5 minutes ago, what message they received, whether someone viewed their story, how quickly they responded, or whether their behavior matched the picture they have imagined. Their inner world becomes a constant reaction to external circumstances. But if you want to embody the feeling of already being loved, you must learn to separate your inner identity from temporary appearances. You can acknowledge what is happening without allowing every circumstance to define what you believe about yourself. When you constantly search for proof, you communicate to yourself that you are still waiting. You say, I will believe I am loved when they prove it. Instead, begin saying, I know what kind of love I deserve, and I will remain grounded in that. This does not mean denying facts, ignoring unhealthy behavior, or refusing to recognize when a relationship is not reciprocal. It means refusing to let uncertainty turn into a story that attacks your worth. Someone being busy does not automatically mean you are unwanted. A delayed response does not automatically mean feelings have disappeared. One difficult conversation does not define an entire relationship. And most importantly, another person's choices do not determine your value. Your value existed before their attention and remains regardless of their attention. So stop giving every notification the power to control your emotional state. Stop making your phone the judge of whether you are lovable today. Stop refreshing pages, checking activity, rereading old conversations, and searching for hidden meanings simply because you feel anxious. Instead, pause and return to yourself. Ask, what am I assuming right now? If the assumption is fear, you have the opportunity to choose something healthier. You can say, I do not need to create a negative story from incomplete information. I am worthy of clear, mutual, respectful love. This is how you become emotionally stable. You are not pretending nothing happened. You are refusing to make fear the narrator of your life. Imagine two versions of yourself. The first wakes up and immediately checks for evidence. If there is no message, she feels rejected. If there is a short reply, she worries. If there is silence, she assumes the worst. Her entire day depends on external behavior. The second version wakes up knowing her worth. She may desire communication, but she does not collapse without it. She may care deeply, but she does not abandon herself. She allows people to demonstrate who they are while maintaining her own standards. She knows that healthy love does not require constant surveillance. Which version feels more powerful? Which version is more peaceful? Which version is more prepared for a healthy relationship? Choose the second. Throughout the day, whenever you catch yourself looking outside for reassurance, gently redirect your attention inward. Take a breath and remind yourself, I am already enough. I am already worthy. I do not need immediate proof to know what I deserve. Then return to your life. Work on your goals, enjoy your hobbies, spend time with people who uplift you, take care of yourself. Become interested in your own life again. The goal is not to become indifferent to love. The goal is to stop making love the only thing happening in your life. When you have a full life, love becomes something beautiful you experience, rather than something you desperately need to complete you. This also allows you to observe another person's behavior more clearly. When you are not consumed by fear, you can recognize consistency, effort, communication, and respect. You can also recognize when those qualities are absent. That clarity is valuable. You do not have to manufacture a relationship by ignoring reality. You can hold a positive inner expectation while remaining grounded in what is actually happening. Your assumption should never require you to abandon your boundaries or accept treatment that harms you. Instead, let your assumptions strengthen your standards. I am worthy of love that is mutual. I am worthy of communication that is honest. I am worthy of affection that is freely expressed. I am worthy of someone who chooses me willingly. Then stop checking for permission to believe it. You do not need the outside world to tell you that you matter. You know that you matter. You do not need another person's mood to determine your confidence. You know who you are. You do not need constant evidence to justify your worth. Your worth is not up for debate. When you stop checking the external world for permission, something beautiful happens. You become calmer. You become less reactive. You stop chasing certainty and start embodying it. You allow relationships to reveal themselves through genuine actions, rather than trying to force every moment into a desired interpretation. And from that grounded place, you can experience love with far more freedom. So let today be the day you stop asking the outside world, am I loved? And begin asking yourself, am I living as someone who knows they deserve love? Let your answer be yes. Let your thoughts, standards, choices, and boundaries reflect that answer. You are not waiting for circumstances to give you permission to value yourself. You are choosing your value first and then allowing life and relationships to meet you at that standard. The fifth and final shift is to watch what begins to change when you consistently live from the expectation of being loved, valued, and chosen. Remember, this is not about forcing another person to behave a certain way or trying to control their thoughts. It is about changing the internal position from which you experience relationships and allowing your actions, perceptions, standards, and choices to become aligned with the kind of love you desire. When you stop rehearsing rejection and begin rehearsing fulfillment, you become a different participant in your own story. You no longer approach love from desperation. You approach it from self-respect. You no longer need to constantly ask, what are they thinking about me? Because you have become more interested in what you are thinking about yourself. You begin expecting communication that feels clear, affection that feels genuine, and relationships that feel mutual. And because your expectations have changed, the way you respond to circumstances changes too. Imagine receiving a message from someone you care about. Instead of immediately wondering whether every word contains a hidden meaning, you can simply enjoy the communication. Instead of thinking, what if this disappears? You can think, I am worthy of consistent connection. Instead of becoming consumed by the possibility of rejection, you can remain present and allow the relationship to develop naturally. This is what it means to watch your reality reflect a new expectation. Your external life may not transform instantly, and you do not need to demand instant proof. Real relationships unfold through real conversations, real decisions, mutual effort, and authentic behavior. But your internal transformation can begin immediately. You can become calmer immediately. You can stop chasing immediately. You can choose healthier standards immediately. You can stop interpreting every silence as rejection immediately. You can decide that you are worthy immediately. And once you make those decisions repeatedly, They begin shaping the way you move through life. You may notice that you communicate more confidently. You may become more comfortable allowing another person to approach you. You may stop settling for inconsistent attention. You may become more open to opportunities for genuine connection. You may even realize that some situations you once desperately wanted no longer match your standards. That is not failure. That is growth. Sometimes the greatest manifestation is discovering that you no longer need to chase what once consumed you. You have become someone who knows that love should meet you halfway. So when you imagine your desired relationship, imagine it in a way that honors both people. See yourself loved but also respected. See yourself desired but also heard. See yourself chosen but also free to choose. See communication flowing, but also allow both people to have individuality and space. This creates a vision based on connection rather than control. And every time you return to that vision, you reinforce the identity you want to embody. Say to yourself, I am someone who experiences mutual love. I am someone who receives genuine affection. I am someone who is treated with respect. I am someone whose relationships are built on honesty, consistency, communication, and care. Then live accordingly. Do not say these words and immediately contradict them by accepting behavior that makes you feel worthless. Let your standards become evidence of your new identity. If you believe you are worthy of respect, practice respecting yourself. If you believe you deserve consistency, stop convincing yourself that inconsistency is enough. If you believe you deserve love, stop treating yourself as though you have to earn it. Your external reality often becomes easier to navigate when your internal standards are clear. You know what you want. You know what you will accept. You know what you will walk away from. You know what kind of connection feels healthy. That clarity gives you power. So now, instead of asking, when will they become madly in love with me? Ask a deeper question. Who am I becoming while I allow love to unfold? Become someone who is secure. Become someone who is compassionate. Become someone who communicates honestly. Become someone who expects reciprocity. Become someone who can love deeply without losing themselves. Become someone who can desire a person without making that person the source of their identity. And then watch what happens next. Perhaps communication changes. Perhaps circumstances shift. Perhaps an unexpected conversation opens a new door. Perhaps you discover that the person you wanted is ready to meet you differently. Or perhaps you discover that another relationship aligns with you far more beautifully than you imagine. The point is not to predict the exact form the outcome will take. The point is that you are no longer living from fear. You are living from worth. You are living from expectation. You are living from the assumption that love is possible, mutual, healthy, and available to you. Let that become your normal. Wake up expecting to be treated well. Go to sleep feeling worthy. Walk through your day without begging circumstances to validate you. Let your imagination be a place where you rehearse fulfillment rather than rejection. And when doubt comes, return to the identity you have chosen. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of devotion that is freely given. I am worthy of honest communication. I am worthy of being chosen by someone who genuinely wants to choose me. You do not have to force the future. You only have to stop repeatedly living in a future you fear. Choose the future you want to embody. Choose the version of yourself who expects love without desperation. Choose peace instead of obsession. Choose self-respect instead of chasing. Choose mutuality instead of uncertainty. Then let life reveal what aligns with that new standard. This is where the journey ends and a new one begins. You are no longer waiting for someone else to make you feel worthy. You have accepted your worth already. You are no longer